So here we are, the Wales team for Ireland has been named, and this is the first team since I've been doing this channel that hasn't been picked by Warren Gatland. So I was very excited to see what Matt Sherratt goes with, and to be fair, he's gone bold, he's made changes, and he's brought in faces that probably weren't expecting to see. So let's get into it and let's not mess around. My name's Christian, and this is the Welsh Sports channel. So I'm not going to mess around, I'm going to begin at the beginning as ever with the big guys up front, and he's named a whole new front row. So he's gone with Nicky Smith, Elliot Dee and Will Griff-John. Then the second row is Will Rowlands and Dav Jenkins returns to the squad. The back row, Jack Morgan at 6, Tommy Raphael at 7 and Talupi Faletau at 8. And then in the back line, more changes. Thomas Williams at 9, Gareth Anscombe comes in to start at 10. The centres are Ben Thomas and Max Llewellyn. And then the back three is Blair Murray at fullback, Tom Rogers on one wing and Ellis Mee on the other wing, who's going to earn his first cap for Wales. So congratulations to Ellis Mee. Then the bench, we've got Evan Lloyd, Gareth Thomas, Henry Thomas, Teddy Williams, Aaron Wainwright, Roger Williams, Jared Evans and Joe Roberts. So pretty good bench as well. So, I mean, it's hard to even know where to start because there's so many changes and so much gone on. This is obviously an exciting time. This is not the team I was expecting Sherratt to name. I gotta be honest. I thought he would tinker a little bit, but I didn't think he would make fairly wholesale changes. But let's go through. There's 8 changes in total. The front row, this was possibly the biggest surprise for me. Not really sure what dropping Gareth Thomas is the reason for. I would have definitely kept him. I think he's been one of the shining lights of this Six Nations. Evan Lloyd being the hook of a Cardiff and the fact that he's gone well in the first 2 games, thought he might stick with him too. And then Henry Thomas had a decent game against France, not as good against Italy, but Will Griff-John coming in, not really sure if that's an injury to Azarati or what's gone on there, but a whole new freshen up. And then the second row, little surprised to see Rowlands keep his spot, especially considering there's so many changes, but maybe that's the reason why he has gone with Rowlands. Gives us that extra bulk because he's gone with the 2 sevens in the back row, and not the biggest sevens either. So this is a bold move from Sherratt, and he's clearly seen something maybe in the England-Ireland game and seen the success that the 2 sevens had at slowing down their ball. I mean, yes, I can understand that, but different players England have at 7 with the Currys. These are 2 different guys. Gonna be a jackal threat, of course. We've been really found wanting at the breakdown so far in the first 2 games, particularly in that Italy game. So maybe that's where he's seeing. Maybe he sees an opportunity to pilfer some ball. So yeah, that's an interesting one. And then Faletau keeping his spot. So no James Botham even on the bench. I thought Wainwright might get called up to the starting 15, but not. So yeah, really interesting pack that. And then if we move to the backs, reuniting the Gloucester combo of Thomas Williams and Gareth Anscombe. He's obviously familiar with both those players. He's worked with them both. Has a lot of trust in Anscombe, and just feels like he's going to give us the best opportunity. And he said he drives standards in training. That was one of his things he said in the press conference. So that familiarity, you could bring those players back in, and they straight away know how each other plays and how the coach wants them to play, which is obviously a positive. Then in the centres, it's the same thing. You've gone with the same centre partnership who started in the autumn, which looked at times like it could work. Give you that extra bit of go forward with Llewellyn coming on those hard lines from 13. Ben Thomas still having that creativity. Sherratt loves playing with the 12 who's a ball player. So this is obviously Ben Thomas does it for him at club level, so he's trusting him to carry on that. Really happy for Ben Thomas not to get dropped after what's happened to him being forced to play 10, and he really looked out of place and struggled in that position. And then Sherratt's come in and said, look mate, you're 12, go back and play there, and probably said just do your thing. Then the back 3, more changes. Unfortunately, Liam Williams has had to drop out of the squad completely. Ellis Mee is obviously the main talking point with him getting his first cap. Josh Adams has picked up a hamstring and they don't know how long or how bad that is going to be. So, but when they asked Sherratt about me, he said he's been fantastic in training and he's been excited and really, involved in everything. So really happy for Ellis Mee, someone who I've talked about quite a lot in the season, particularly on like when I've gone in the attacking scrum. I always like to reference Ellis Mee. I think he's a really good player. Still, very young. I think he's 21, 22. So getting an opportunity is going to be good. But he's big, but he's good at the fundamentals. He very rarely makes a mistake, and he's quite intelligent for the way he plays. Is quite intelligent for like someone who's really not that experienced. And he's come into the Scarlet squad, grown every game at that level. So seeing him at the international level against, arguably one of, if not the best team in the world, this is going to be a real test for him. Then on the bench, you've got this front row that has been starting the game. So there's some big hitters to come off the bench. Gareth Thomas is the one, like I said, is a surprise for me. One thing I didn't think married up here with the selection of the 2 sevens was Gareth Thomas is so good at the chop tackle. We saw it especially last year in last year's Six Nations when Rafael was getting all those penalty at the breakdown or stealing the ball, and it was quite often Gareth Thomas with a real low chop tackle. So I would have liked to have seen that pairing because that would give the 2 sevens more opportunity to get on the ball maybe. Teddy Williams then coming in to replace Freddie Thomas, which I like. I think he deserves it. A little surprised to see Rowlands keep his spot. A lot of people have been really critical and have been down on him. Maybe Sherratt has spoke to him in the week and feels like he can rejuvenate him, or he feels like he needs his experience. But really happy to see Teddy Williams. I thought we might see Teddy Williams start, considering of how much Jockey relies on him for Cardiff. He's played every minute or started every game for Cardiff this season in the league. So I thought he may go to him as someone who he knows he can trust and knows he could do the job at calling the line out and stuff. But off the bench, and I think he deserves that because he made a real impact last week, even though it was a late call-up. Wainwright, you got to feel bad for him because he was definitely the biggest impact in that game last week or against Italy. When he came off the bench, he introduced a real aggression and taking the speed of ball when you're carrying into contact off the 9 and stuff, and that is something we lacked all game. So I feel like he's kind of a little bit unlucky to not get in the team there, especially the starting team. But he's obviously gone for like a system pick with the 2 sevens because he feels that's the best way to negate Ireland possibly. So Roger Williams keeps his spot, which I think he's been pretty good in the small sample size we've seen him. I did kind of feel like he may go for Bevan with a Cardiff connection, but I think it's fair to keep Roger Williams in there. Keeps a bit of experience in there. Then Jared Evans, really chuffed for Jared Evans, someone who everyone has been talking about when we've been in this drought of trying to find a 10 successor to Bigger. Anscombe's been unfit and he was a little bit up and down in the autumn, and everyone was just constantly questioning where's Jared Evans. Not the quintessential Gatland player, but he's worked with Matt Sherratt when he was at Cardiff. Matt Sherratt knows he can trust him, knows what he can do as a player, and again, Jared Evans knows exactly what Sherratt expects from his players and what type of game plan he wants to play. A little bit disappointed for Dan Edwards, but still super young. He has had a taste. I would like to see more, maybe another bench opportunity towards the end of the tournament. I know it'll only be 2 games, but I still don't think we should necessarily just leave him out completely. I would still like to see him, but I am really chuffed for Jared Evans, and I'd like to see what he does off the bench and whether he can make a real big impact. Taking the ball to the line, those late decisions, drawing defenders in towards him and creating space for other players, that's something we've really lacked from that position, so that's really excited. And then Joe Roberts, he's going to get his first outing for this Six Nations, which I kind of feel he could have played last week. Tompkins obviously dropped completely from the squad, which is no surprise. Feel kind of bad for Tompkins. Everyone who's familiar with this channel knows that I'm not his biggest fan, but he got really left out on an island a lot at 13, which is not his best position. And he got exposed fair few times. And when he came off in that Italy game, and he was one of the unfortunate ones to get interviewed, you could see how disappointed he was and how much he really means to him to be competitive and play well for Wales. So a little bit disappointed for him, but I'm happy that Joe Roberts is getting that chance, because I think he is possibly the future in that position. If not, we need to build up some more depth, particularly at 13, because it's obviously been talked about how many 12s have been on the pitch for Wales, but we're really lacking at outside centre. So building up the reserves there is a good idea, I think, from Jockey. So I'm really excited about this. I know it's completely changed the feel in Welsh rugby with Sherratt coming in. Obviously, he's only a caretaker. The only way I think it could change is if he wins 2 or 3 games. But hopefully, as a Cardiff fan, I hope he goes back to Cardiff. But all we really want to see is, and I know it's quite sad how far we've fallen, but all we really want to see is us competitive, actually create some issues for Ireland in defence, and go and score some points and some tries, because we've created no tries and created no opportunities. So we really want to see us be able to do something. Obviously, Ireland will be heavy favourites, and there is a couple of injuries in the Ireland team. I think Doris is out, and the hooker, his name is literally escaped my brain. But they're still just superb, and it's going to be really difficult for us to get anything out of it. But if we got a bonus point or just kept it within 10 points, that would be really good. But it's still going to be a tall order, even though the vibes are really good with seems like in the squad and with supporters now. But we just want to see a bit of entertainment. If we see them go out and be able to create stuff, look like they're playing for each other, look like they actually know how to play rugby, then I think it'll definitely change the mood, and we can go towards the end of the tournament and maybe pick up a win in one of the last 2 games. Who knows? But exciting, bold team selection. But he's come in, and to be fair, he's made the selections that he wants, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the review.